All right, welcome to another Honda Pioneer video. Today I'm going to be installing factory OEM Pioneer 1000 headlights on my Pioneer 700. All right, so this is one of many projects that I'm doing to my new Honda Pioneer 700. The first step in this project will be removing the old factory headlights to make way for the new ones and the modifications that we have to make to the wiring. So in the instructions that comes with the kit, it does say you have to remove this fender, the hood. I removed both fenders because I was doing a lot of wiring and I had to paint them or plastic them like I showed you in another video. But now I'm going to go ahead and show you that removal process of the front in case you're just watching this video. If you already know how to take apart the front end, you can skip ahead. But I will say that I don't know if it's completely necessary to take apart the whole front end to change the lights, but Honda does say that it is necessary to take the front off and the fender, and it really is not that hard, as you'll see right now. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just remove the hood first. Set that somewhere safe. All right. And you also want to disconnect your battery, which is under the seat. Okay, if you look, there's a lot of these little black plastic clips all over, and that holds a lot of the panels together. If you just take a small flathead screwdriver and you pop it in here, you just pry it up, then these will come out when you take the center pin out, just like that. They're just like a push fit. So just be kind of careful with them. You don't want to break them, you don't want to lose them. Once you get them out, they just come out like that. And you can see that's the only thing kind of holding this piece on there. Keep on doing them. There's a couple more across the front here. And there's two more on this side. Alright, so there's a couple more pins they need taken out over here. So there's two of those push pins, and then there's a 5mm Allen key right here. It'll come out, and then up on the top, on both sides, you have another push pin here that needs to come out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those all out. Alright, so once we've got all that stuff out, there's some bolts that we need to take out. So there's one here and one here. These look like 10mm. And then if you peel back the dashboard here, you'll see there's one hiding under there. And on this side, there's one hiding under there. So we need to take all those out. All right, so if we go under the fender here on both sides, got a 10mm bolt here. It bolts this frame piece to the bottom of the headlight assembly, and there's a couple screws that hold it to the front here. And while it's not completely necessary to take the screws out now, I'm gonna have to separate the black plastic around the headlights from this body panel anyway. And while I'm under here, I'm also just gonna pop out these two on both sides right here. That just lets the whole front come loose. All right, so as you can see at this point now, the whole front end is completely loose and ready to come off. So just need to go through, there's a couple more wiring connectors here that we need to just pop loose. And the best tool for that is one of these, the cat claws. You can just pop that out of there like that. See, so this side is loose. Over here, we'll just take a pair of pliers, compress that, and pop those out of there. All right, so it looks like the top screws on the headlight assemblies, there's still two screws on the top that are holding this headlight assembly to the fender. But here where you can see. That's loose. There's that fender. All right, so we're at this point now. So basically, when you buy a setup, OEM Honda setup, you're going to get a set of Pioneer 1000 headlights. And they actually send you, it just says they're for the 2016 Pioneer 1000. But they will also work with this vehicle. And the way Honda makes that possible is this little kit here. And here's the part number. And the MSRP on this is around $100 just for this part. Basically what they're giving you is a wiring harness. And included, so this is the harness that runs along the front of the vehicle. In the Pioneer 700, the factory headlights only have a low beam. There's no high beam. And the LED models have a high beam, so you need an additional wire, and it's a different connector. And then they also include a new headlight switch that replaces the old one. Here's a new headlight relay, and then some various zip ties. There are no instructions, but if you go to the Honda accessories website, you can download or print out the instructions on how to do it. So we're going to go ahead and get started on reinstalling the new headlights. The first thing we're going to do is replace the harness across the front of the grille. Be careful not to damage anything. See, I've got everything kind of separated out here. So here's the harness I'm talking about. It runs across the front and then has this connector right here that plugs in behind here. So to remove this, there are these zip ties holding it on. So to make it easier to go ahead and unplug the headlights first. They are going to be completely removed from here. So if anybody wants to know, the factory bulb is an 862, which is a weird bulb. Honda kind of uses their own proprietary stuff. I don't even need to take that off of there. So on here, you can see there's a little push pin on the bucket. If you take a pair of needle nose pliers and bend that in, you can pull this apart. So I'm just going to take a second and do that. Okay, so I know I said I was going to do the wiring harness first, but while I'm here, I'll show you. We have to remove these headlights from the housings. Okay, and they slide in from the one side and the other. And the plastic has a little bit of give. That's how you're able to pop them out, like this. See, they pop out. There's a screw down here that is your adjuster screw. You'll have to back this out. But what I recommend doing is making a mark on the screw before you take it out. And the reason why is it's a really good place to start when you put the new headlights in. There is another way that I'll show you also to adjust them by using this right here. But that's just something I recommend. Just take a little Sharpie and draw a line. That way you can get really close when you go to put it back on. So I'm going to grab a drill and zip this Phillips head screw out. Make sure you don't lose the square nut. Alright, so there's one. Now do the same thing on the other one. Alright, so before you go getting crazy, these zip ties that Honda uses, they are reusable. If you just push the little tab, I should say pull the little tab, you'll see you can take them off, which is why they don't include any in the kit. And then once the zip ties are off, so look at how the factory harness is in there. We're basically going to lay this one in the exact same way. So your plug-in you want on the passenger side. So get this laid in place. I'm just going to loosely connect the zip ties. I'm not going to snug them down. I'm sure I'll have to adjust these a little bit. Alright, so now we want to put our new headlight housing in here. And despite what you might read online, I can't speak to the earlier Pioneer 700s, but at least on my 2019 model, there is room for this assembly. It is larger than the halogen headlight, but it does fit. But you need to put some bushings on these connections here to make it fit, and they are included. One thing that I noticed, some people buying the aftermarket knockoff version of these headlights, you can get them on eBay for $200 or less. They don't include these little bushings, and it causes a lot of problems because they don't fit. So, you know, look around, shop around. I'll put some links where I got these below, but you can get these sometimes for almost as cheap as the knockoffs, and I guarantee they're better. They are not the same thing, just FYI. So once we get our bushings on, we're gonna go ahead and lay this in place. Just bend the plastic out. See, that fits right in there, and it rotates like it should. It's nice and tight. Like I said, there's a line right here that matches up with this line right here, and that is the point you want to get it set to. So how we'll do that, we'll take our screw, and here's our little plastic nut. It goes in this order. The screw and the washer go against here. The spring goes in between the headlight and the piece of plastic, and then the nut goes behind here, and there's a little recess back here. And then you tighten it down to your line, which you already made, or if you forgot to make the line, just try to get this is a good starting point, where that line matches that line, and that'll be our starting point. Okay, so here's how it should look. And there is a little groove, so you don't have to even take the nut off. You can just, well, you do have to take the nut off, but once it's in here, you can slide the screw up through there. I've got it adjusted. So this, technically, it's ready to go back on here. So you want to make sure you plug in your wiring harness. It only goes one way. You'll see where the clip aligns. Alright, if you already forgot, the wiring harness goes out the top and snaps into the little clip there. And then to put this back together, just remember the screws we took out that hold the plastic to the plastic here, and then you've got your one bolt that holds that to that, and then your new headlight assembly is secured in the front on this side. And we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. Alright, one little tip. I know I've been showing me working on this a lot over on the front of the Pioneer, but it helps if you just take this whole front end and move it somewhere where you're not going to scratch everything up, and just set it down and work on it like this. It makes it a little bit easier. We can get everything kind of put back, tucked into place. So now I've got everything tightened down. Well, I've got one more bolt tightened down here, but we've got our two bottom screws in, this bolt here on both sides. We can set it back in place. It'll be ready to set back in place. We're going to go ahead and address the wiring that has to be done under the hood real quick. All right, so the headlight switch. As we know, it's right here. I've already removed mine, but there are just two clips, one on each side, that hold the headlight switch in place right here. If you reach in from underneath and compress these clips while using a little flat blade screwdriver, you can pry this loose like that. Under here, you'll need to follow the wires to right here, okay? So you can see there's only two wires going to the switch, and there's already 3 wires in the harness. So we're just going to go ahead and remove this. Once you remove that, you can go ahead and pull out our old headlight switch. And we will take our new headlight switch, run it through here. You can see the tabs, they all line up, so there's only one way for it to go in properly. Okay. Then you want to do the same thing. You want to watch your steering linkage. You don't want to get it all caught up in there. We'll run this up over the top of the other harnesses and then reconnect this plug here. All right, so the last thing we have to do is connect the relay. So if you look up under the front here, you'll see this harness that's taped up in here. What you need to do is remove the blue tape, and this is just a dummy plug right here. And then you'll take a zip tie that they included in the kit, put it around the connector, and we're gonna plug that in there, and then zip tie this all up here out of the way. So that's just a dummy plug that will unplug, and then you plug in the relay that they included in the kit. Okay, so that's our dummy plug. Just take this. All right, we'll go ahead and plug that in, as you can see. Then we just zip tie this up here out of the way. Okay, so that is the last main thing. So now we're ready to just kind of put everything back together. All right, so check that out. Man, that looks good. Whole front end's blacked out now with them LEDs. Just looks really good. Let's see how they look turned on. So there's our low beam. If you watch my other video, I show you how to install turn signals and integrate it into your factory tail lights. In this case, we have our marker lights. So that turned out real cool. All right, so when you turn on your high beams, the bottom row comes on. These are a combination of projector and reflector with a really nice look. So let's take a look at the cutoff. We'll see how that looks. All right, so here is our low beam LED lights. Way brighter than the factory halogen bulbs. Now let's look at the high beams. Yeah, that puts some light out. Really a bunch of light, which is neat because a lot of people add aftermarket, you know, light bars and stuff, and I'm gonna add one too because I do like a little more light, but you really don't need it with this for just normal driving. It really puts out a ton of light. All right, so that wraps it up for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something about how to do the conversion to the Pioneer 1000 style headlights on your Pioneer 700. It's not too hard, just a lot of little steps to get in the front apart. I'll have a link below to all the parts I used. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment below. Be sure to like the video if it helped you out. Until next time, we will see you later.